Benjamin Schrader is the CEO of Schrader Promotions, an event production and promotion company based in Texas. He's been organizing and running concerts throughout Texas for over 6 years. In that time, he's worked with artists like G-Eazy, Wiz Khalifa, and Parker McCollum. Now, I'm sure young people probably know who they are. I have no clue. Actually, I know Wiz Khalifa, but that's by the by. He actually started his company while he was still a student at Texas A&M. Go Longhorns. He's achieved a lot for someone as young as he is, and when I learned of his severe dyslexia and ADHD, I just had to have him on the podcast to share his story. He's become a dyslexic advocate and given speeches to dyslexic students and student entrepreneurs across Texas. He almost exclusively uses social media to organize his events, and I can't wait to get into that. As if all that adversity wasn't enough, about a year ago, he was diagnosed with a golf ball-sized brain tumor. Thankfully, he was able to have it removed, but did lose all the hearing in his right ear. This experience has given him new resolve, and he's begun speaking on the necessity of fortitude for young people, no matter what life throws at them. Benjamin, it's so good to have you on the podcast today. I obviously just read out your bio, and for me, I'm blown away by all the adversity that you've had to overcome. So why don't you tell us about some of that stuff that's happened to you in, I guess, what's a comparatively short lifespan compared to me?
Oh, I don't know about that, but thank you so much for having me off the bat. It's going to be a wonderful conversation today. I would say probably the biggest things that have shaped my life. First and foremost, dyslexia. Very severe dyslexia. To this day, I read at about, and you're going to laugh at me, but it's technically tested at a second grade reading level, but I often say third because that sounds better to me,
Makes
which I know is
smarter.
Yeah. Are you smarter than a third grader? That has been tough, and that is something that's a burden I'll have to carry for the rest of my life, unless there's a Neuralink or something like that one day that can just fix that. But that difficulty really, I would say, shaped who I am. And I would say without dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia, the big three. So that's trouble with reading, dysgraphia, trouble with writing, and dyscalculia, trouble with math. So I'm in the 1% for dyslexia, extremely, extremely severe. I'm in about the very severe for dysgraphia and dyscalculia. Made me who I am, and I think without it, I probably would have turned out to be a jerk. It keeps you humble, and it inspired me to something my father told me when I was young. He said, Benjamin, you're going to have to work twice as hard as the other kids just to get to where they are on certain things, but you're good at talking. Become the best at that. That is how you will survive in a reader's world. And
So how young were you when it was diagnosed that you had dyslexia?
I was in kindergarten. I was
Right.
very young, which was a blessing, because the younger that you are diagnosed and the younger that you can get remediation and therapy, it's very important. You got to get reading therapy if you have dyslexia. I had 9 years of it just to get me to the point where I could function, like survive and just get around town.
Yeah, because my stepdaughter, who's very, very, incredibly smart, she was at university when she was diagnosed with dyslexia, right? So she had to change so much. She ended up with a specially supplied laptop with all sorts of different font colors and sizes and everything else. I mean, I looked at it, I'm like, God, how can you read that? But that was the only way she could read it, right? So she did really well because of having it diagnosed. But again, it was probably a lot later than maybe it could have been diagnosed, which would have helped her maybe earlier on, right? In terms of...
Well, I mean, a lot of times it is hard. It can be hard even to diagnose if someone does not have it very severe, because 1 in every 5 people have dyslexia. It's very common. And all it is dyslexics are very smart. All it is it's a different distribution of neural net connections. So I got about half the neural net connections of the average on one side of my brain, but all those others, they're on the other side. So I'm not missing any. Well, maybe I am, but not all dyslexics. But so we have those same number of neural net connections, the same level of intelligence. It's just spread out differently. And I know often in the United States, we were recognized very recently, actually, as an official disability. But myself, I will always call it a learning difference, because it is just, you give me an audiobook and you give me a way that I can take in media, that I can see a video instead of just text on a page, and I can learn anything just as well as anybody else.
It's like, I've talked to lots of guests on the podcast over the last sort of few years, really. And one of the things that's really been highlighted to me, I mean, virtually every time I have a podcast conversation now, we end up talking a little bit about AI. And some of the, I think a lot of people are frightened of AI, but there are some amazing use cases for some of the capabilities that it has, right? And one of the ones that I came across, I used to go out walking during the pandemic, walked every day. I did more than 10,000 steps every day for the whole of the year of 2020. And for me, it was great. I lost 70 pounds, which I needed to lose, which was important. But I found I was listening to podcasts on headphones, which was great, right? But sometimes I may not necessarily want to listen to a podcast. I might want to listen to the news. And I didn't want to download an app and kind of switch on to the BBC News or something like that. And I came across this AI tool called 11 Labs. And they have
I use it every day.
It's honestly, I just literally grab a URL.
It is a godsend.
I grab a URL, paste it into 11 Reader, right? I can have Burt Reynolds read a story to me.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's incredible. I know. 11 Labs. I literally, last night at 3 a.m. I was using it. So I completely, boy, that is awesome that you know about it. No, I love 11 Labs.
Because I found I had a couple of, I was going out walking every day, and sometimes if I was trying to read a story on the news on my phone, right, on occasions I would trip up and I ended up like falling down, smash my face open. I'm thinking, this is too dangerous. This is way too dangerous to be doing this, right? So I thought, well, is there a solution I could use that would bring me the capability of doing what I wanted to do, which was to read the news? I didn't need to necessarily read it. I just needed to know what was in there. And I can obviously speed up the speed of it. So it doesn't need to be read at my pace. It can be read much quicker if I want to read it quicker, or I can read it slower if I'm slower kind of in terms of the on-take, right? So again, I loved having that capability. But I think, again, as much as 11 Labs and their AI sort of solution for reading the text is great, there's a lot of people that have latched onto it and they're using it for nefarious reasons and creating sort of fake voices for promoting things.
The thing is, there'll always be bad actors. We see the same thing with deepfakes, AI of any kind. Like, there'll always be people that are going to use tech for bad things. And of course, we want to try to mitigate that, but the benefits that it brings, I am so pro technology, because I remember when I was a kid, and Reading for the Blind and Dyslexic was a big charitable organization in the United States. I actually did a lot of work with them. They were great. They're just amazing, amazing people. But, it was read by people that would read the textbooks, and then you would get it on your Victor reader, this little block with an SD card that you'd put into it. And the AI voices that did exist back then, robot, terrible, absolutely terrible, unnerving, almost a little creepy. And I remember being shocked by some people, as a small minority of the dyslexic community, that as things got better and voice to text and text to speech became widely adopted, they were against it. And they were thinking, oh no, you have to do it this certain way. And what I really explained, and I've talked a lot about this, was it's not a crutch. It's not giving you even an edge. It's leveling the playing field. And that's, with accommodations, with things like that, that's all that we ask, is to level the playing field. Yeah. Because, hey, you put me in a room with a number 2 pencil and a test, and you tell me, okay, take this. I'm probably going to fail that test to this day. You asked me to write, God help us all. So, but at the same time, I'm able to run an event production company and been doing that. Oh my gosh, my math is terrible. Either 7 or 9 years, one of the two. But it's
because you started the business when you were still in Texas A&M, like as a student.
Yes, as right? You guys would say, uni. But I started the business towards the end of my freshman year of college, and in the beginning, it was very small and just. Really, the promotion of events was what we focused on. And then I said, oh boy, the real money's in events. And we grew that over the years, just done some incredible events with people like G-Eazy, Parker McCollum, Co Wetzel, Wiz Khalifa, but not too many. I haven't had the pleasure of working with too many British artists, sadly.
It's funny, when you sent your bio in, I looked at it, I thought, I don't know. I randomly heard of Wiz Khalifa. I'm a big electronic dance music fan, right? So I thought, wow, these are people. I'd heard of him, right? But again, like a big deal? I know Wiz Khalifa is certainly a big deal. I'm sure the others are as well. I mean, there's loads of...
It was an immense honor. Yes, no, I think in the States, Parker McCollum and Coe Wetzel, the two big country artists, Parker McCollum's really had a meteoric rise. And then G-Eazy is a popular rapper in the States. And yeah, no, it's been an incredible opportunity. Some of the people that we've had the opportunity to work with, it's an absolute pleasure and an immense honor. And the real deduction behind the business was college kids like the party. If I control partying, college kids will like me.
Yeah.
That was the simple why I got into it, because, and I really attribute a lot of this to being left out as a kid, being that weird dyslexic kid. When I got to college, I said, never again, that I will find a way that I can make sure I will never be left out again. And what better way to not be left out if you're putting on the show?
Yeah. It's your show, like you're in control, right?
Oh, yeah.
Again, I'm always amazed at how many entrepreneurs, they build their business on the back of one specific problem that they're probably solving initially for one specific person. I mean, I worked with a client who basically set up a dating website. He was a programmer developer, right? And he set up this kind of dating website and the kind of the technology on the back end. And the only male profile that was on it was his, right? So all the women were coming in and registering, so pick them, and then eventually rolled it out so other men could be on there, right?
That's either like genius or absolutely morally bankrupt. Either way, that is hysterical. But that is awesome.
So he stacked the deck in his favor, right? In much the same way you solved the problem. You solved the problem. It's like the guy who created eBay. He solved it because his wife had I think it was like his girlfriend at the time had this kind of thing about Pez dispensers. She wanted Pez dispensers, and he set eBay up on the back of being able to trade those with other people that had them to sell. He was able to buy them, and that's where eBay started, right? Again, really interesting kind of how this business started.
I love eBay. I gotta say, I got some cool stuff on there. But yes, no, I would say the two problems that I really saw myself solving was in the nightlife. A lot of times people get into it to party. They get into it to have a good time. It is a service industry. You are there to provide a service. It is a business. And I never drink when I'm working. Don't do drugs, nothing like that. Never go after expanding my love life or things like that. I'm there to provide a service. I'm there to do a good job. The audience is the client, and bringing professionalism. Really, one of the big reasons that helped me in the beginning was I always wore a suit. Or at least a sport coat. And at first, I mean, I was 19, desperately trying to pop it around, and
so you probably stood out a lot.
I needed all the legitimacy I could get. But as things grew, I continued that on just because it was about bringing that class, order out of chaos, and legitimacy. And then the other was fraternities and sororities are some of my first clients. I'm not sure if there's an equivalent in the United Kingdom. But we have these Greek organizations. Well, they call themselves Greek organizations. They have no relation to actual Greece, but basically it's social clubs. And a lot of them.
Animal House is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, yes. That is not far from the...
I know. I visited a friend who was in the university in, I think he was in like Cincinnati or something like that. And I stayed in his frat house I think it was at Freshers Week.
God bless you.
And it was amazing. I mean, for me, it was an amazing kind of experience to be there. But again,
I never joined one myself, but I work with them all.
Really eye-opening. And what was really interesting is most of the people that I used to, way back in the very, very early days of starting out doing kind of online marketing, I discovered that if you wanted to get links to other sites, right? So the whole ecosystem of SEO was built on the back of authority and trust. Right. And one of the biggest kind of trust factors was education sites, right? So .edus. And
yes.
And effectively
and the database.
So what happened is I used to approach people who were in frat houses, who worked in the IT department at an EDU, like a university, and I would ask them if they can place a link to one of my client sites or one of my posts or something like that on their website.
Genius.
In return for me basically dropping a couple of kegs of beer at the frat house.
Genius.
Right? And they were like, sure, we can do that. So that's what I used to do. I used to send kegs of beer to frat houses, and I would get a link from an EDU site, right? So I won,
That's
they
great.
won, right?
Yeah. No,
And my
it's a
clients won.
win-win. Yeah, it's a win-win-win. As the tide rises, as do all ships on a river of beer. But,
Exactly.
no. Well, what I saw with them a lot, and I guess one little tangent, I will tell you once, thank God this wasn't my event, but I had been invited to a fraternity event just because I worked so much with them. I did so many of their shows, mainly when they were bringing in artists. And this one, they weren't bringing in an artist. So they had this jungle party, they called it. And I show up and I'm chatting with some of the people, glad handing as I call it. And it's a bit of a bacchanal. It's a bit of a wild time. And then I like do a double take and I look and I see a giraffe. They brought a giraffe.
Like a live giraffe.
And I am like, where did you get the giraffe? What? I mean, do you need a permit for that? What the heck is, of course, the entire thing gets shut down because they literally brought a giraffe from some company that had a like nature preserve that they, I don't know, paid off or rented it. I mean, so that was hysterical. But no, I mean, Animal House, it is shockingly accurate.
Yeah.
So yes, no, as you can imagine, working with the Greeks is very, very stressful sometimes. I love them. They're great clients, but I prefer my corporate clients. No offense to the Greeks. I love you, but I'm sure they would be the first to admit that they can be a bit stressful. So yes, no, a lot of the companies though in the nightlife industry will greatly overcharge these fraternities and sororities to the point where it's a little ridiculous because I mean, some of them have budgets that are, I mean, we're talking even at A&M where fraternities aren't big, $100,000, $200,000 a year party budget. That's a bit obscene maybe.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, that's a nice chunk of change. And then you've got these companies coming in that will charge them just, I mean, we're talking 30, 40% above what is normal. And so I said, boy, well, I've met enough people. I've got enough of the connections with these different managers where I can book certain different people. I've got enough connections with sound people that I can get the equipment. I mean, I can do this and only charge them 20% more. And so it is a win-win, or charge them 10% more. And so that I still make money. They don't have to spend as much money. And so thus they have more money for those kegs of beer.
Yeah, I mean, it's like way back when I was in my 20s, so hundreds of years ago. I used to be a sort of part-time DJ. So my brother was the main DJ at this particular bar.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And from time to time, he would get private gigs to go out and sort of do a party or a wedding or something like that. So he would ask me to fill in for him at the club, right? So I used to just go along. And back in the day, it was carrying big boxes of records and big heavy speakers and all that sort of stuff. I look at DJs now, I'm thinking they get to fly around on private jets and they just take a laptop.
CDJs,
right?
Yeah.
They literally take like a MacBook Pro, stick it on, press play, done, put the headphones on, put some smoke up, done, finished. But what it really highlighted to me in that sort of, I was the person that stood between the people in the room having a great time or not having a great time.
Yes.
But also, I had to manage things in such a way. I mean, I had to make sure that the people who were basically paying for me to be there to kind of like put on this entertainment, that from time to time, I would bring things down, right, to enable people to flee the dance floor and go to the bar and spend money on 100%. Drink, right? Otherwise,
the fact that you were and probably are a 10 times better DJ than so many, because a lot of people don't understand that. You have to be able to feel the crowd, and then you have to remember that you're part of a business operation.
Yeah. So I know the people that were there were ultimately the people that I'm looking after. But at the same time, I needed to make sure I looked after the paymaster, who was the person.
100%.
Because if he turned around and said, well, it's a great night, everyone was there, we had a great time, but we took 10% of what we would normally take if we just served drink all night rather than having a DJ, then that's not going to work, right? So it's important to, like I said, bring things down. And then as soon as you think, right, they've had enough time to kind of refresh, recharge, go to the toilet, maybe have a cigarette or whatever, right? You bring it back up, play another song that's a banger. You get them straight back on the floor.
Yeah. It's all about the wave.
Yeah.
So you have the high point, the low point, the high point, the low point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And at the end of the evening,
most DJs don't understand that fundamental concept.
and at the end of the evening, the last 15, 20 minutes of the evening, right? What I used to do, I called it the erection section, where I would basically play slow songs to enable the people that were looking to maybe hook up with somebody to go and ask them to dance and do a slow dance and everything else. And
You're a man of the people, so I'm sure that many gentlemen appreciated your efforts.
but I guess probably like you, I had some challenges at school. I mean, like I used to read my school reports and they would say, I've seen very little of Jim and even less of his work. And I didn't really leave school.
That's terrible.
I didn't leave school with very many qualifications, but I've done okay since then, right? And I think I've done it in spite of my education, not because of, right? And I think it's quite interesting to your point. I see young, really well educated people now, and they lack the kind of personal skills to be able to communicate to people and talk to people and have the confidence to go up and shake somebody's hand that you don't know. And if you're in a crowded room of strangers, right, having the confidence to just go over there and, hey, I'm Jim, it's nice to meet you, and shake hands with people, and what do you do, and what have you, right? Because I think, again, I think those are the skills, the soft skills that I think really help people get on in life, right? I think you can have as much education as you like, but
I completely agree. I mean, I would say that the only reason that my business has had any success at all is because I can do exactly what you're talking about. That you guys walk into a room and I say, okay, who do I need to shake hands with? Who do I need to talk to? Who are the power players or influencers in this community? And how do I connect with them so that we may both mutually benefit?
yeah.
And but that stems from having that dyslexia, that there was no better advocate for myself than me. And it was embarrassing a lot. It was so often humiliating. I really did not want to speak up for myself, but I had to, or I failed the test, or I would not be able to do this thing. Yes, no, the value of forging those interpersonal skills of just how to have a conversation, how to go forth and introduce yourself to people, and then always have an elevator pitch in your mind of whatever thing you're working on. Just a quick summary, boom, 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 I do X and such.
Yeah.
And it is, that skill is something that should be taught. I was blessed at A&M. I went there for 3 years, then I had a brain tumor, and then I finished up at UTSA.
So talk to just before you move on to kind of the next bit.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that, like the brain tumor, because again, when I read that was probably the thing that jumped out at me the most, right? I'm like, holy crap, you've had so many things of adversity to deal with.
Forgive me, I can kind of show you, but I
wow,
a huge scar on the back of my head. 61. Forgive me for being out of frame for a moment. That's 61 stitches. So basically, I had 2% hearing loss in my right ear, only 2%, and a little bit of pressure, like I was on a plane, but just very minor, very minor. I had been nauseous for years, but I did not know that was a side effect. I'm thinking, okay, I have all of these events. I am around loud music all the time. What a tragedy that I probably do have some hearing damage. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I get some earplugs. I start wearing earplugs very religiously. And then I'm like, you know what? I should get this checked out. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
No headaches, nothing like that. Go to the doctor. They look in my ears. Then they give me a CT scan. They're like, your bones look a little weird, but you probably grew that way. You're probably okay, but we should probably get you an MRI just to make sure. I get an MRI, and then, so I had just finished this one big concert. And then we had one more coming up like very soon after. So I've been working like crazy. I get a call from my parents at 10 p.m. And I'm very close. My family are incredible people. But, it was unexpected. I pick up. I'm like, oh, hey, guys, how you doing? And they're like, the hospital called us. And they said, just come in tomorrow. They called us because we're your emergency contact. Just come in. And hey, it's in the States, let me tell you, the hospital isn't calling you to just come in. I mean, I didn't sleep a wink that night. I mean, that is horrible news off the bat. Something is grievously wrong. I go into the hospital. Doctor sits me down. And I arrive and they take me back right away. Doctor sits me down, says, okay, are you ready? I said, let's do this. I forget exactly what I said. Like, I said something like, let's dance, let's do this. I know, I know. And then he said, you have a golf ball sized brain tumor, something called an acoustic neuroma, growing off your hearing nerve and pushing up against your brainstem. If you do not get it removed, you will be dead within 1 to 2 years of a stroke. And I'm 23.
Wow.
Or well, at the time I was.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
3 years ago now. And I just laughed. That was my very first reaction. I just laughed.
Some people would have
I
gone,
was
can
like,
I have a second opinion? I kind of want another
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. And he showed the MRI thing to me on the screen, and there was this massive white just glob
Yeah.
right next to pushing, just like literally indenting into my brainstem. And he said, yeah. And told me I was gonna have to get it out, and I just said, all righty. There's a joke, or not even really a joke, a little saying that I say a lot, and it's a reference to World War One. I say sometimes the whistle blows and you just got to go over the trench. Like it's time to go. You got to do something. Yeah, something has to be done. You don't have a choice, and it stinks, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
And I went to a couple hospitals, and then eventually I was very lucky. I was able to have it removed at MD Anderson. They're one of the best, if not the best, in the world, specializing in these things. It's 12-hour surgery, team of 3 doctors to extract, and I quote, a bloody fibrous tumor.
Wow.
Yikes. Yeah, luckily, and the one good thing too is that it was not brain matter itself. So it was myelin sheath, it was nerve coating.
Yeah.
And that myelin sheath just grew into this glob, basically, of this mass. But the sad thing, your balance, your facial, and your hearing nerve are all wrapped together in your ear canal. My balance nerve was partially destroyed. My hearing nerve was mostly intact. However, the tumor was mostly coming from the hearing nerve and was basically one with it.
Yeah.
But thank God they were able to save my facial nerve. Otherwise, it would look like I had had a stroke.
Yeah.
But I lost my balance nerve. It was already so badly damaged they couldn't save it. So I had to learn how to walk again. And that was because when you lose a balance nerve, if you stand up, boom, you'll just fall over. You can't tell where your head is. It's the strangest feeling. But yeah, I got a second one.
But we take all these things for granted, don't we? We take the getting up and walking around and whatever else is completely for granted.
Who thinks that a literal like hair, a little hair in your ear allows you to walk? And if you lose that, you're just going to be falling everywhere. That is insane.
Yeah.
And so then I also lost the hearing nerve in that ear. So I'm completely deaf in that ear. I don't have zero connection to the brain, but I still wear an earplug just in case one day. I got all the parts still,
Yeah.
but I got no connection to the brain, so they can never reconnect it. But no, it was
Maybe technology
really,
will kind of like find a solution, right? So
I have no doubt that one day nerves like that will be printed from your own cells and then something inserted back in. So, hey, we might as well keep everything good so that just in case.
So
But had to get down overnight.
So in the US, you have Dancing with the Stars. In the UK, we have a program called Strictly Come Dancing. And there was a girl a couple of years ago who won it, and she was completely deaf, right? And she won this dancing competition because she could hear the music through the vibrations through her body.
Feel the vibrations. Yeah, yeah.
Again, I was like blown away with it. And she became such a kind of a great evangelist for the sort of signing and deaf people. And it's really almost put it on the map. I mean, it was always on the map, but I think it's really just cemented its place in terms of how important it is to recognize that, yes, it's an impairment, but it's not a disability, right? It doesn't prevent people from doing things that other able-bodied people, I'm putting everything in inverted commas, but able-bodied totally people, right? Yes. So, and
I completely agree. And it's just about managing it. And we all have as the saying goes, like a cross to bear. Like we all have difficulties, all of us. And so we just have to try to manage them and get around them and level that playing field. So it's I don't wear a hearing aid, a cross hearing aid, one that would transfer the sound to the other ear, because honestly, it was weird to me and clogged my good ear. So if I'm in a meeting or something, like I literally will just sit so that I have people on my left side.
Yeah.
And I will tell people, and I'm a firm believer, you got to be very open about these things. I'm very open with my dyslexia. I'm very open with the fact I'm half deaf. So I'm like, yeah, no, I can't read that. Sit over here so that I can hear you. But no, I know, of course, I'm not that difficult about it. And most people too, if you ask for help, most people are so happy to help. They feel good about themselves. I mean, many times it's funny, I will be let's say I'm going on a date, and if I know somebody relatively well, or I've been on a few dates with them, I won't go through the whole process of busting out ChatGPT to calculate the tip right. I'll just say, oh, what's the right tip or something like that. Just because honestly, the reading, the math, it's a little painful. I don't know how to describe it, but that's how I've come to it almost hurts a little bit, your brain, at least for me. But yeah, no, it's just another obstacle to overcome and everything to be overcome with some determination and a smile. Be the happy warrior and you can win in the end.
And ultimately, you're not looking for sympathy. It's just a recognition of the fact that it exists, and people just have to be a little bit more accommodating because of it, right? Which,
I think
as you say, I think virtually everyone will be absolutely more than accommodating to.
It's amazing. People are overall very, very nice. Now, when I was young with the dyslexia, there were a good number of people that didn't believe in it. And that was a tragedy. And I think that was the last remnants of, oh, it's just the dumb kid. Oh, you're not working hard enough. But today it's very well accepted.
You know, when you log into applications, like you put an additional layer of security and you do the two-factor authentication, 6-digit numbers, right? I've got so many two-factor authentication providers, and every time I look at the number, I'm thinking, they're screwing with me. They just put that number in there. I always type it wrong the first time. I'm always like getting the 6s and 8s round the wrong.
You don't have it pop up for you?
Well, I mean, on my phone sometimes. Yeah. No, I'm on an Android.
Oh, oof.
No, I know on Apple. I know on Apple.
On Apple, when you get the text, it pops up and you can autofill it.
Yeah. But for me, it's like
Tim Apple's calling you home.
The last time I had an Apple I had an iPhone 4, and in the drawer I got an iPhone 7 that used to be my wife's. She's still on iPhones, but I just refuse to go back to them. Even though
there are some really neat things that Androids can do. Some really neat things, and they are the ones that Apple made the tech, and then Android really just was able to take it in 1,000 different directions and do. My friend has this folding phone. I mean, he unfolds it like origami and then is able to use it. And it's got screens all over it.
Yeah, my son-in-law has one. I think it's called an Honor, and he basically open it up and it becomes like almost like a tablet that's decent quality.
Apple's got to step up its game, honestly.
And it folds up like just a slightly thicker phone than you would normally have, but it's got all that technology built into it.
Well, with 7 cameras now and this chip, we are going to just have the best phone ever. No,
And the stupid thing is, most people have 7 cameras on their phone, but all the lenses are covered in grease from their fingerprints because they've been holding their phone the whole time. And they never stop to go, I'm just going to clean the lenses before I do something.
If I'm ever out and about with the family and I say, oh, hey, can you guys take a picture of me real quick or something like that? My father will take the phone and he will look at it. He's, oh my God, man, this is disgusting. It's all smudged and everything. So no, you got, lens that didn't grease. That is an excellent idea.
So we're some way into the conversation and we haven't really talked about marketing. And this is really all about digital marketing stories. No, it's all good. It's all good. I've really enjoyed the conversation thus far, right? But I'm curious because obviously on your bio, you said that virtually all of your success has come on the back of social media, right? And I use social media, but I typically buy ads on Facebook and wherever else. I'm curious because what do you think are the sort of secrets to your success with regards to social media for the purposes of your business?
Geographic representation and geographic targeting. A lot of times on social media, we're going to target a group of people and for a service. So we're going to say, let's say men 25 to 30, that's our target audience. What was lucky for me was that getting my start in College Station and then now operating a business that really exclusively operates in Texas and offers an in-person service, I am able to build an audience here in Texas of people from the ages of 21 to, let's say, 45 or 18 to 45. That audience is a geographically based audience. So I'm able to directly put ads to them. I can target a city. I'm able to say, okay, I have this event here, come out and get your tickets here. So that the power of that, and especially in the beginning where I was able to translate social media followers to people actually showing up to a concert, which is not something that is always standard. Then also, I would do a lot of targeting of micro-influencers in the community. So fraternity, sorority president, football players, baseball players, everybody gets a free VIP ticket. That's two free VIP tickets there, two free VIP tickets there. Boom, boom, boom. I have basically gotten all these people who have communities that look to that as leaders. Now they're like, oh, I might as well go to the event. Then you have 100 other people, part of this organization, who then have in their head, oh, I might as well go to this event. I also used posters a good bit, and more so taking pictures of the posters being out and about. We make really cool posters, and then we put them up, and then we take pictures of it. Not so much even tending people to look at the poster in real life.
But you don't want it to be like a sort of professional poster photo. It's like very
you're gonna laugh.
Rough and
we would make them like Eastern Bloc propaganda posters. Put a bunch up and red, and just gritty, but like really, really neat. The gentleman that designed them really did a great job. But that really is the key. So you're targeting those micro influencers, because regular influencers, it stuff doesn't do anything. Like, especially not in the music industry, where their followers, I mean, probably 90% of them are fake sometimes.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, the people don't trust them.
And they're only the influencers are really only interested in what's in it for them, rather than what's in it for the people that they're recommending whatever it is to.
Exactly.
It's kind of like you pay them
a crisis of
$5 grand, 10 grand
that's insane,
to put a post out on to their followers, and it's 95% of their followers is probably not in my demographic locally to kind of Texas, so that puts those people out, right? By the time you drill into it and get down to the sort of specific nitty gritty of who's actually in market, in location, it's a much, much smaller number, right? As you say, probably much better to find micro influencers and people who are local to where you are that can, as you say, promote it in a guerrilla fashion to then talk about it in a way that the word spreads without. I've always said you just need to light the paper and stand back and let it run, right? And hope.
I like the sound of that. I love me. So good. Let's light this candle. I always say that. Yes, no. Really, there's a crisis of trust and a crisis of authenticity. And a lot of influencers, the old way of influencers being is dying. You can't be so unrelatable. I often joke with people that I am human and relatable, just like I was designed to be. And I'm just an AI over here. No. But really getting those, so we're talking people with really like 5,000 followers, around there, 5, sometimes even less, who are trusted in their community, who are well-liked. And that can be difficult to identify sometimes, but really it's doable. It's doable just by looking through social media, figuring things out. You just look at a location, you look at who's tagged or who's been there, and then you can just DM them, reach out. And myself, I also put a lot of time and effort into building up a good following myself, because really the business and me have always been synonymous.
One and the same.
One and the same is that, I am the representative of, God bless, rapper had once come up with the name, and I used it, but I wanted you to know that I didn't come up with this because I am not that arrogant. The Schrader Nation. It's my last name.
Nice.
Schrader. My father would say it's sheep without the C. But yes, no, it's good. I'm glad that joke sometimes it kills it. And then other times people look at me, what? So no, I'm glad. But
I always say to people, half of the cool things that are said about me are ones that I started it to begin with, right? I put it out there, and other people have just amplified it.
Amen. I mean, I think I have about 50K something. But what's powerful about that is that that's not people from all over.
Yeah.
That's Texas.
Local.
And that's why, and because of that, and because of the personal-based industry that the nightlife is, I seriously doubt that I will ever expand beyond Texas. The pie is massive.
Yeah. And
there are the two big companies out here. We've done stuff with both of them, Night Culture and C3. C3 is the biggest one here in the state. Night Culture is the second biggest one. We've done events and marketing campaigns with the iHeart people. And
so it's always very tempting. Some people get too greedy. They go, I'm going to expand and go elsewhere, or go nationwide. And they just end up like diluting the value of what it is that they do locally, right? And
because like if I'm going to Florida, if I'm brought on an advising role, sure, I can definitely help. But if you're wanting me to organize your event and you're wanting me to sell your tickets, I will not have the same ability to utilize the methods I do out here, which are relatively different simply because of this special situation that I spent years building up. Then if I go to Florida, I'm going to need to pay for ads. I'm going to need to do Instagram, Facebook ads. I'm going to make sure that what type of email list do we have out here? What type of phone number list do we have out here? Are we going to be able to do a text blast? Are we going to be able to do an email blast?
And you're going from a standing start, right? You're going from effectively zero presence in Florida and having to begin from zero and work your way up. And even if you had 50,000 elsewhere, Texas is no value to you, right? I mean, yes, it might make people go, he's got 50,000 followers, so he must be worth following. But, you start from zero and go again, right? And also at that point in time, you're then ignoring what's going on in Texas, right? So you can't really be in two places at the same time. I mean, I had that. I sold a business in 2006 and I was trying to be in three places at the same time. I had an office in the UK, an office in Hong Kong, and I had a problem office in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was trying to be in three places at the same time and obviously couldn't. So I ended up having to choose which one was the bigger priority, right? So ultimately, it wasn't my choice because I'd sold my company and I was at the beck and call of the people who had bought the company to put out the fire in North Carolina at the detriment of my office in Hong Kong and at the detriment of my office in the UK, right? But that was the kind of choice they gave me.
A real difficulty that I have had with scalability is that when I send forth, I have two people that are full-time, work for me, and then we have a good number of contractors. When I have sent them forth to events in my name and in my stead, the owner, the manager, will be like, where the bleep has been. And so that has been a difficulty of that because, and this is one downside of the business being so tied to me, that I am the brand I am synonymous with the business.
And so if you do a trade show, I mean, I go to an affiliate event in Vegas every January, February called Affiliate
Which one? Shoot,
Affiliate
I think I might have been there. No, was it? I'm thinking Video Ranking Academy, different conference. Yeah. Same time period.
So there's about 6,000 people go, and they have something called a meat market, small table, two people. That's what it started at. Small table, two people. Now you've got people with big booths and everything else. And then they have an actual proper exhibition on the second and third day. But what you tend to find is that there's a lot of, I used to walk the floor because I had clients that ran events and I would basically run all the sort of back end ads for them and that sort of thing. What I found was that I'd walk the floor and I would talk to some of the people who were exhibiting and I'm like, so how's it going? And they said, oh, well, everyone that's here, we know them, right? So there's nobody new that we're meeting. And I said, so why are you here then? And they said, well, if we're not here, if we don't exhibit, then everyone will assume that there's something wrong, that we're in trouble.
You have to show the flag.
And it's like you think,
show the flag. Yeah.
So if you're the event organizer, you're taking a booking for somebody that really doesn't necessarily want to be there, but they know they have to be there, right? But at the same time, I think if you can get the ancillary. So again, I always say, take people along, take their best sort of affiliates and networks out for dinners and lunches and entertain them, take them to clubs, bottle service, whatever it might be, right? To make them feel special, to make them want to commit to spend 100%. More money with you, right? I mean, I used to run an affiliate network and I had different people and I used to say, well, where do you want to go? Do you want to go do clubs and shows or whatever? They just choose whatever they want to do. A small
gift here will go so far. Whenever I travel, I will get a good number of small gifts. When I was in Scotland, I got a bunch of Quakes, the communal cup.
Yeah.
Just little ones at the shop. And to my best clients and my lawyer, my best clients, and the lawyer is also a good friend of mine. But I gave them Quakes. And I was like, hey, it's a sign of friendship and family thing. Don't let it touch the table. You got to finish the whiskey before. And that small little act really goes a long way.
It's like every time I go to the States,
every time they see it,
I always put probably half a suitcase full of basically gifts from the UK. So I always go with shortbread from Harrods and tea bags from Harrods in a tin, and I just give them out as just gifts to people that I know and everything else, and they love it. They love the fact that I've even given cocktail waitresses in the Chandelier Bar in Vegas. right? There's this girl saying, I love a cup of tea and I love all this kind of posh English stuff. So I remembered that she did.
Of course, the British man is able to just pull out the tea.
So I took a box of shortbread and tea bags, and she was like, wow, this is amazing, right? Because again, she looked after me, so I wanted to look after her, right? I could obviously...
Are you a fan of Yorkshire tea?
No, I'm not actually. I'm not a fan of Yorkshire tea. I like Marks and Spencer's extra strong tea bags. That's kind of my tea bag of choice.
I'd say I'm an Earl Grey English breakfast type of guy myself.
And of course, there's a whole kind of battle of, do you put the milk in first or after, and how long do you leave the tea bag in?
I love the milk thing. You guys really hit the nail on the head with the milk thing. The London fog, as we call it in the States.
But when I sit with American friends, right, in somewhere, and they go, I'll have a hot tea. It's like, God, it's tea. It's not hot tea. It's just tea.
Oh, you guys are missing out on the iced tea. I got to say, we got to broaden the horizons.
I've tried it. I've tried iced tea. Yeah, but
I drink a lot of iced tea, but unsweet.
Yeah.
So there's two schools of thought. There's the dump a gallon of sugar in there, with very American of us, but or unsweet. But yeah, no, it's delicious. But no, I love tea. It's good. Coffee will, let's just say, my stomach gets angry.
Yeah. So I lost my train of thought in terms of where we were.
Oh, my apologies. You were saying you were given a tea bag to someone who tea. And
that's the sort of thing that they will remember. That I will I'm recognizing. I mean, yes, whenever they would serve me drinks and everything, I would always tip well, because that's what you do.
You have to. Yeah.
But at the same time, like when I would go, like the next time I would go, I would see the person, they'd come up, give me a big hug and everything, and people going, they didn't come up and give me a hug when I ordered drinks, but it's like I've looked after them. So I think when you do that, then people will remember it and recognize you.
A lot of times in these settings too, people don't even need to know your name. But if they do, that's great. But they don't need to. They just need to recognize your face.
Yeah.
They just need to say, oh, I know that guy. Yeah, well, he was really nice to me.
And like there was a lovely cocktail waitress that I think she was from Somalia or something like that. Had been living in the US for forever, right? And I last time I'd seen her was, I think, just before COVID, right? So probably January 2020, right? And I didn't go. I think I missed 21 because we couldn't go because we weren't allowed to go. There was this kind of restriction, so I didn't go there. And I think I missed 22 as well. So the next time I went was in 2023. So when I saw her in 2019, right, she was pregnant and she was walking around with a tray, ordering her drinks. When I went again in 2023, she was pregnant. I'm like, that's either the longest pregnancy in the world, right? So I remembered that she was pregnant, and she was blown away, the fact that I even remembered, right?
That's amazing.
That she was pregnant from the last time, right? And she went and got her phone, brought it out, showed me the pictures of the baby. Oh, it's so cute, lovely, right? But I think a lot of people will treat that server as a server. I treat her as a human, and then that way she treats me as a human.
And I judge people so hard on how they treat a server or the person that they're checking out with at the grocery store, because all my life
it takes no effort.
It takes no effort to spread a little niceness, like just to be decent, and also too, it's good practice. For years I would practice on elevators, just making small talk. I would practice with waiters and waitresses. I would practice with the cashier. That it's good practice, and also too, it's just a nice thing to do to spread a little bit of a sprinkle of joy in what can be a pretty gray world.
I'm going to share. I'm going to share one of my trade secrets with you. Can I share with one of my trade secrets with you? Right. So every time I go to Vegas, right, you go up in the elevator and it's always full of people. There's always like loads and loads of people, right? So. And usually most people don't want to look at anyone. They try and look at the floor and look at the ceiling and they look at their phone and whatever else, right? And I always go into the elevator, the door's shut, right? And I always turn around and face everyone. And I go, now, you're probably wondering why I've called this meeting. And everyone just bursts out laughing. And then after that, everyone starts talking to each other. And you're breaking the ice, right? It just breaks the ice, and it takes the
I know you can say, I'll split the fare with you is one that I've used before. Yeah, no, that is...
And you can vary. I sometimes will throw... Welcome to the the kind of the inaugural meeting of the Claustrophobic Society of
That's funny.
Right, because again, some people are claustrophobic with
why have I called... Now, you're probably all wondering why I've called this meeting. That's great.
Any of my friends that's ever been in the lift with me, they know every time.
They know it's coming.
I'm doing it.
They know it's coming.
I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I don't care who I'm with my wife. She hates me doing it, but I'm like, I'm doing it.
That is great. Yeah, no, I think one of the biggest things that's one of the biggest things that I'll judge people on is how they treat people that are technically below them. Not saying that they are, but like in a social hierarchy, because I remember how people mocked me, how people looked at me as just that dumb dyslexic kid. And how would they treat me if I was on the bottom again?
Yeah.
Badly. And if I see someone be rude to a server or things like that, I mean, that is the biggest red flag to me in business. Because when everything goes bad, what are we going to work together to solve the problem, or are they going to turn on me? And so that, and if someone ever cheats in a game, if you're ever like golfing I'm terrible at golf, but the look is nice. So you get a cigar, you
It's a
go
good
drive
walk.
around the little cart, you drink iced tea. And I know, I'm sorry. We much as we butchered the Queen's English, but you go to these things, but if someone ever cheats in a game, they will cheat in business, especially because it is a game.
The only person they're cheating is
that.
themselves. That's it.
Yeah,
They're
it's
only
not
cheating
that.
themselves.
It is not about, and if someone gets angry at losing, I know that is something that also too I have noticed, because if I play a board game or even a sports game amongst friends, I am not there to win. I am actually there relatively much to have a good time and to make sure everyone has fun.
Yeah.
That's why I'm there, is to be much as you in the elevator, the facilitator, as that is the role that I play. And yes, we want to win. We try as hard as we can. But if we don't, we take joy in our other friends' success.
Yeah.
Because their success, by the fact that they are our friends, elevates us as well.
And it's difficult. I've got two small grandchildren, and like when you're playing games with them, right, they always want to win, right? And I'm like,
oh yeah,
sometimes you don't win, right? And you have to accept that you don't win, right? And that's part of the education process, learning about life, and that sometimes
my father and I would play many military board games when I was young. I know it's strange, but we really bonded over military history.
Did you play Risk?
Sometimes, but boy, these ones that that they had long German names, and like the rule books were like this thick, and you're moving the little pieces and cardboard dies across the battlefield. I think one that we did a lot was these two World War I, Battle of the Bulge, and then Alamein, and then some Roman ones. So we had a good time with them, but he would crush me sometimes. Other times I think he would let me win,
of course,
to inspire me, or I would get super close.
But he would never tell you he let you win. That's the difference. I think sometimes again, you need to help encourage your
the right
children, grandchildren to learn and learn to compete and
sometimes you lose, but you don't give up. You don't quit.
It's
you go down fighting, and you do the best that you can.
It's like when I was at school, if we had a race at school, right? If you won the race, you got given a pendant, and they got a first, second, and third, and you got to stand on the top step as the winner, and then the person that finished second.
It's ridiculous that everyone gets a trophy. There are winners and losers.
Yeah, and I remember going into somebody's house, and they took me up to one of the kids' rooms and showed me around. I'm like, wow, is your kid like an Olympic athlete or something? No, it's really not. I mean, it's just
that is a disservice. That is a disservice to everyone.
It's not helping them to kind of set them out for life, right? So.
Yeah. Merit is all that matters. I do not care about anything else other than the job that somebody does.
Yeah.
And as telling everybody that they're always going to win a gold star is destructive for a society, because, I have weaknesses. I have weaknesses that if you put me against others, reading or spelling competition, I will lose. But you put me on a debate stage, or you put me on something like that, and I can dominate. And the fact that I am able to admit that, understand that, find people who possess the skills I do not, but I possess skills they do not, that I work with them, and then we succeed together, everybody wins.
That is so good. And I'm the same. I know my limitations. I know what I can do. If I get a gold
star every time, then why would I work with anybody?
I know what I can't do. And the things that I can't do, I enlist the help of other people to help provide it if it's important.
You have to delegate. You have to delegate, and you really do. And it's critically important that you find good people and let them do their job.
Yeah.
It's something I've been working on a lot. Lately was one organization that I've done a lot of work with. They had asked me to join their board and then help build it out. And I was focused on finding people who were good at their job and letting them do it. So I searched and I said, okay, you're really good. I want you to do this, and you have complete autonomy. As long as things are going right, like you do it, and I will trust you. And so, yeah, find good people and let them go forth.
The only thing I add to that, I mean, that's exactly how I treat things as well, right? But having seen sometimes the implications of that autonomy really catching you out, right? I always say, look,
Yeah,
we have a process for doing certain things, right? And
it's true.
these are the kind of guardrails of what's acceptable anything within that is fair game. If you
I
stray
really should probably
outside of
say
that,
that.
if you stray outside
Yeah,
of that, right? Because again, I mean, I found myself on the hook sometimes where I've had members of my team that have really screwed up in an ad campaign, and we've spent a ton of money that
yeah,
we really weren't authorized to spend, was like not tracked properly, so we couldn't see conversion, so we had no idea what was going on, right?
that's a nightmare.
And it's kind
Yeah,
of like you either force the client to try and pay you and they hate you for it and they just don't
I
do
agree.
it, or you suck it up, pay their bill, right? Say yes, that's all on us. Change your process, make sure it doesn't happen again. And I had that happen a couple of times, so I had to rewrite my sort of statements to ensure that sort of thing
But
didn't.
you might have saved me a lot of trouble with your wisdom. I really, it's funny. You think things are going to be self-explanatory, but they probably aren't
Yeah,
always.
because
No,
as
yeah,
much as autonomy is great,
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of empowerment and autonomy, right? And I don't possess for 1 second all of the right answers, right? But at the same time, there are some limitations as to where people can
Yes.
operate within, right? And if they stray off the reservation, knowing where they should
The,
stay, then
the biggest thing that I had set out with them was that each person had their assigned tasks. So we've got our social media. You've got the in-person events that you're not going to go into somebody else's domain, but you're going to work with, let's say the social media person has to work with the live event person, but you're not going to cross over and basically get into their territory. But no, I think that, yeah, making it very clear, don't go crazy. Don't go crazy. Don't say crazy things. Don't do crazy
and
things.
as much as the other thing I find with events themselves, right? A lot of people that work for the event company, they assume that when the event's not on, they're not like on the clock and they're not accountable, right? But there's
Yes,
again,
that is ridiculous. That is so ridiculous.
I've
Yeah,
seen
I
situations
know.
where there are people really letting themselves down and letting the company down because people know they work for the company and they're doing things that they really ought not to be doing, whether it's harassing somebody else or whatever. And you think, just don't be that person, right? So quite
I
often I've gone over
completely
and said, look, just discreetly, you may just want to dial it back a bit. And
I mean, I've got a whole little, it's just a single page sheet of almost rules for, we'll have sometimes these, I mean, they're like not really an intern, but like a paid intern where it's someone who's going to be helping to manage things on the ground. And I have a whole basically list of rules. Don't drink, don't do drugs, don't go after anybody, love interests, don't get political, don't, all these different things. Just, I have it somewhere here, I
and
think.
in
But
all
it's
honesty,
those
that
basic,
stuff should
basic
be
things.
common sense. You shouldn't have to
Yes,
say
it should,
anything,
but it is
but it's
not.
not.
It is not. Yeah, no, oh my. I have had I have had people where it's, you get a hint of something from somebody, or you're feeling a person out, and you're like, okay, yeah, we agree politically, or we agree on this type of thing, but we're not going to go into it. This is a business
And
setting.
some of the
Or you
events I
feel
go,
them.
they have a blacklist of people that they won't allow to go to the events in the future, right? Because of the way
Yes,
they behaved in previous events. And they have a code of conduct. So it's
yes,
don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Even if it's not even the event organizer staff, it's any attendee of the event, right? Because ultimately, in a lot of cases, they're walking around wherever they happen to be with lanyards on with the name of the kind of the event organizer and their name,
yeah.
right? Making a
You have
complete
to be
ass of
careful of
themselves.
the crazies.
Yeah.
The crazies, and that's just a broad brush term for I use really for the people that, I mean, I've had it at events where people will act completely inappropriately or
And it's
just
very tempting.
unhinged.
You kind of like, again, like let's say you're married, couple of kids at home, and you've got a free pass to go out to Vegas and party, right? And people get sometimes a little bit too carried away with that, and it really bites
What
them.
happens in Vegas does not stay in
No, it
Vegas.
ends
Let
up
me
in
tell you
social
that.
media, and people talk
Yep.
about you, right, for all the wrong reasons. And and like
And
I said,
that stays out there forever.
I used to make sure, right? Again, I've always maintained a kind of watchful eye. I used to work in the police. I'm watching what's going on around me
Really?
to kind of
For your service. That's awesome.
to try and make sure that everyone within the industry has a good experience. And if I see people getting into difficulty, even if it's with somebody who is not from the show, right? So if it's by the time you go to a cocktail bar or something like that, there'll be people that are not at your show that will be there, right? And if there's an attractive woman that's there or something like that, that's from our show, right? I will just keep a watchful eye. And usually I'll just go, is everything okay? Can I get you a drink? Blah, 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 right? But really what I'm saying is everything okay? Do you need help? Right?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
and if they go, no, we're good, I'm fine.
I totally get where you're coming from. There's a term in the States that a girl will say to a bartender, it's, I need an angel shot if she's got an issue. But yeah, no, I completely understand. And as a leader of an organization of people or the organizer of an event, I do feel responsibility to my people. I got to take care of them. And at the end of the day, the buck stops with me. So if you really badly screw up, like it's on me. Yeah. And so we're both going to have to deal with it.
And
so
I just think as an industry, you need to keep an eye out for other people in your industry, right? To make sure that the last thing I want to do is to sit having breakfast one morning and somebody will go, did you hear what happened to so-and-so, so-and-so? They kind of like got roofied and woke up in the morning. And I would hate to think that was an avoidable situation if somebody had been more diligent in looking out to ensure that person.
Well, if you ever put your drink down, it's dead to you.
Yeah.
That's just one of the most basic, most important rules that, in my mind, I always set aside. Like a lot of times I will be drinking either a Red Bull or I will have a Coca-Cola with a lime, so it looks like something, or I'll just have a club soda. But the moment I put it down, it's dead. Yeah. That the moment it leaves my hand, it's dead, and I will just get another one.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I enjoy, I don't drink ever at home, right? So when I'm in the UK, right, I will rarely drink. I mean, very occasionally I might have a drink, but just generally speaking, I don't, right? But when I travel, because I know I'm not driving.
I drink occasionally as well, but it's just...
But what I try and do...
I'm allergic to it, funny enough. Vietnamese, I'm 25% Vietnamese, and they're the most likely to be allergic.
Really?
It gives me a terrible headache. But I mean, occasionally I will. It's never been my life.
I used to get a headache because I used to drink so much, right? But it's just... but again, what I try and do is I try and go into the event
you have to drink
venue earlier, right? So I usually go in a day or two beforehand, right? And stay a day or two after, right? So I stack up some kind of off the grid time, kind of both sides to obviously getting there. I can decompress and get rid of jet lag a bit, right? And then after the event, I can decompress before going home, right? So it's
great if you also can do those on the ground operations there. Those couple days before, you can know where you're going, you can know where the venue is.
Yeah. And also the same thing. The nature of being a digital marketer is I can do my job anywhere in the world, right? Laptop, Wi-Fi. I'm good to go, right? So I don't need to worry about 4 days out the office because I don't have 4 days out the office. I've just changed the backdrop for the office, right? So that's what I do.
Yeah. I'm lucky I can plan my job anywhere. But when it comes to the events, I have to be there.
Physically there, yeah, I get it. I mean, obviously that puts a different complexion on your stuff. But again, like the planning side of things, you can kind of do it from anywhere, right?
Now, like the smaller events, DJ bookings, smaller bar tabs, not always necessary. Like those are like every other day.
Yeah.
But it's those big events, those flagship events where, hey, I have to answer the call.
And at some point in time, I'm sure you'll start to think, well, okay, maybe now would be a good time to start some succession planning and bring somebody in, train them.
I got to find an apprentice.
Yeah.
I got to find, I've been twice I have tried to train somebody up, but it is definitely a tough business.
Because I know people that kind of
I might have found them.
I know people that spend a lot of time like working in the evenings and what have you, and they basically become an absent parent, right? They have kids and they never see them because they're either sleeping with the kids.
Game. It is a young man's game. Yeah. For me, my end game's always been to go into politics. It's what I love. I enjoy it. And so eventually at some point, I'll make that transition.
Yeah, it's funny. Like there's a senator with the same name as me, Jim Banks, and I get all of his hate tweets come directly to me, right? So people are, again, I keep thinking, why would anyone want to go into politics if that's the way people treat you, right? I get so much vitriol and hatred. It terrible.
Is vicious, but I have an odd compulsion in my heart that I really feel I wasn't put on this earth to do good, but to fight evil.
Yeah.
That was what I'm here for. That there are bad things. There are bad people, and somebody has to. There's a Captain America quote,
and it's funny
where he He says that don't be a stick floating down the river, be a tree. And when the river comes crashing into you and tells you to move, you say no, you move. No, I always I love it. I genuinely enjoy it, and it's funny. It was the one always have. Always have. I'm very odd in that way. But yeah, no, the vitriol and the rage and the anger that is tragic. And honestly,
he used to be a
we should
congressman.
not be like that.
He used to be a congressman, and now he's a senator, right? So it's got even worse in that regard. But what was quite interesting is when he was a congressman, right? He used to defend my honor, right? He would say what a good man and honorable kind of digital marketer I am, and you got the wrong person, and almost like deflected onto him, right? I mean, I just find it funny, right?
I don't know anything about him, but that sounds relatively decent.
But again, he seems like a really nice guy. I kept thinking maybe at some point in time, if I ever get over to, I think he's in Indiana. Maybe if I ever get over to Indiana, I'll go and visit him, and maybe we'll go out and have some lunch or something.
It rang a little bit of a bell. Yeah, Indiana sounds right.
Yeah, Senator Jim Banks, if you're watching this, and I do make it to Indiana, I'm looking for you to pick up the tab for lunch.
Oh, yes. For all those hate tweets. Amen.
Benjamin, thank you so much for being a great guest on today's show. I've really loved having the conversation. It's been great.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed it. I don't think we probably talked anywhere near enough about digital marketing stuff per se, but I think we covered enough with the other things and the challenges and adversity, and
be decent to your fellow human beings, and that'll go a long way.
We dropped lots of nuggets along the way, so I'm sure that there'll be plenty of things in there that people can pick up and take forward, right? And clearly,
you're a man after my own heart, and just chatting with you, it's actually been a lot of fun. So
and if you're in Texas and you are looking for an event, you're the man for doing that. If you're a student,
amen.
Again, I'm not quite sure that my demographic audience will be Texas kind of students, but you never know. You never know who's going to watch.
We love everybody from the UK. You guys are great. Sorry about the whole tea in the harbor thing, but hey, we beat the Germans together, so let's party.
And if you're listening on podcast platform like Apple or Spotify, then this next bit's not for you. But if you are watching on YouTube at all in any way, do me a favor. Can you thanks for watching. I appreciate you sticking to the end. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to subscribe, because that sends the signals back to YouTube that this is actually a podcast worth following and listening into. And I hope to see you all on the next episode. So thanks a lot, and take care. We'll see you soon. Bye for now. Brilliant. Thank you. That was great.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a great time.
Hope you enjoyed it.
That was a lot of fun. Pleasure.